Hey, good evening, everybody. I hope that you can all hear me. My name is Mark Carr, and I am on the sales leadership team at 31. And I am so excited for you to join us tonight to hear about what I think is one of the most important topics as we go into the busiest selling season of the year, right? We have a great new catalog, so much excitement from conference and that new catalog. And we want to be able to give you some tools and resources to help you take advantage of, again, this biggest selling season of the year. Tonight, I am so excited to be joined by Senior Director Rachael Lujbli. Rachael actually joined us in 2012. Yes, February of 2012, promoted to director in December of that year, 2012, and then September of 2014, promoted to senior director. So she is a seasoned leader. She brings so much experience and enthusiasm for her 31 business and for others. I'm so excited for her to speak to you tonight because I will share with you on the sales leadership team as we travel. One of the biggest things that we talk about and the most questions we get is, I need to get bookings, right? So whether it's a leader saying, my team needs to get bookings, or the team saying, I need to get some bookings, right? Having a healthy calendar is the most important part. You have to start there, right? And so again, I'm so excited to have Rachael join us tonight to give us some of her wisdom. And you'll get to hear a little bit about her story as well. So Rachael, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. Hello, hello. Tonight we are chatting about bookings, as Mark mentioned, and networking. But first, I wanted to share a little bit about my journey. What wearing my CEO hat with 31 has done for me and my family is really unreal. Every time I get a paycheck, I literally pinch myself. But I didn't get to the pinch me point overnight. 3 years ago, we couldn't even make ends meet. We were living paycheck to paycheck, and we're not a stranger to the food pantry, social services, heating assistance, and basically any program we could get our hands on. That was how I grew up. And although I have my degree in resort management, having kids forced me to leave my career to be a stay-at-home mom and brought me back to that place of my youth where I felt I belonged. And I didn't think I was good enough to get myself out of. Now, though, because of 31, I get to give back to those programs through my business while providing financial stability and extras that we never could enjoy before, like vacations. For my family, my 31 paycheck pays every single one of our bills and just bought us our very first home that we moved into just under a week ago, that I'm sitting in right now, all while my husband has been a stay-at-home dad since April to support my business and this move. Better yet, we aren't broke as a result of that decision. We're starting renovations this week on our master bedroom. And as a grand finale to this move, renovation, and summer season, we get to go on our 4th all-expense-paid trip in just a few weeks to the Grand Floridian at Disney and on the Royal Caribbean in the Bahamas. And when we get home, we will be planning on how to use our $5,000 earned through Wishes Come True on a family vacation in the spring. All of this 2 years ago was not even a possibility in my mind. So what changed? There was nothing earth-shattering. Pouring into others in a way that I could never have imagined before fills my cup. And the fact that I get paid to empower others like you is just the cherry on the sundae. I've found that when I keep my focus simple, my core values intact, and work knowing that my family is my number one and I'm providing for them, all else falls into place and the right people are attracted into my life. There are things that I do on a regular basis to put myself in a position to build such awesome new relationships that fill my calendar with bookings, and I'm so thrilled that I get to share that tonight. Because we can control our action steps, but we can't necessarily control our results. There are 3 things that Carrie Wilkerson said around the time that I had this huge perspective shift that I literally have on a sticky note in my office. They are, number 1, fun is an option. Game on. Number 2, our businesses are flexible, but they are not optional. Number 3, your business is your friend. So why am I sharing that with you first? because change is scary, stressful, and becomes a roadblock if you let it. That's real life. It may be time for you to take some action steps like I did to achieve the success that you want. And those 3 things or another positive affirmation might help you through this transition like it did for me, and it still does. Now, think about what you love about bookings and write it down. What I love about bookings is not only that it means that I'm in business, but the opportunity that they give me to be potentially impacting someone's life in an awesome way. I had very little when I started this journey, and I love that I can give someone else hope through my experience. Whether there is 1 person or 20 at the party, I always go into it shooting for the stars and expecting that anyone could even be my next leader. That's just my mindset. It may not be that night, but relationship building is key, and if we aren't open to our dreams becoming a reality, then guess what we are? We're closed to them. Now, what are my regular basis action steps to fill my calendar? They all revolve around building relationships. I have 5 things. Number 1 is networking. Number 2 is follow-ups. Number 3 is hostess coaching. Number 4, how are you showing up? And number 5 is to reward yourself. And these all relate back to bookings. Number 1, networking. I treat my calendar like it's empty every single day. It may seem strange that this is the first action step, but when I look back, the real danger when my calendar was empty, which was often in my first few years, came when I got comfortable. When I said, yes, I finally reached my goal of whatever it was, and I sat back and I let it play out. Have you ever been there? It doesn't feel too good when you don't have a backup plan for when those 3 parties that you finally wanted on your calendar for August all cancel. And you don't have anyone in the works to replace them. By networking, you are continually building new professional and personal relationships that offer referrals of people that you've never even met. How cool would it be to have an October filled with hostesses that are brand new to you? I tell you what, from personal experience, it feels pretty darn awesome. So awesome that I wish that this was my number 1 for all of my last 5.5 years as a consultant. Now, a few formal places to start networking are to join some Chamber of Commerce meetings, which you all have locally. You can visit a BNI, go to meetup.com or eventsy.com, searching for a local business group on Facebook, or even creating your own group of like-minded entrepreneurs that will meet during the time of day that's best for you. And that option is 100% free, which is how I started networking, by the way, because we couldn't afford to choose to pay for a networking meeting at that time. From these visits, from those ideas, see which meeting suits your goals and your budget. Bring your 31-second commercial and business cards to these meetings. They want to hear what you have to offer, and they want to support you through referrals. That means giving you business as long as you ask. Number 2, follow-ups. Giving great customer service is crucial to your brand and long-term success. It may seem like you're not getting a lot now, but by pouring into others, you get that longevity in your business. It prevents future cancellations and fills your calendar daily outside of the party. Great customer service may look differently for every single one of your customers. I have a binder for all of my follow-ups, whether it be guests from a party, someone I met at the grocery store, or a new networking connection or something else. I give them their own sheet of paper, write down our conversation, and I put it in my binder under the date that I'd like to follow up with them. That paper gets moved sometimes a dozen times before someone books, buys, or joins my team. But they always thank me for following up and remembering who they are and remembering about their life. This is an ongoing process worth your time tenfold. Number 3, hostess coaching. Be her BFF. That's as simple as I can think to put it. This will be your best income producing activity and again, prevent future cancellations. She wants to be your business partner to earn free products and maybe even some money by joining your team. So let her and give her the tools. Simply download the Hostess Coaching Checklist on TOT31today.com and follow it and build that relationship. Not only will you ensure that you keep the party date and not lose that booking with her, but she's going to look for bookings for you and shop or host with you again because you rocked so much. Now, isn't that what you do when you find a great restaurant and are treated like royalty? You come back time and time again and you tell your friends. Let her be your best word of mouth referral. Number 4. Being as prepared as possible and bringing your best self to the party. This is prime real estate for our businesses, and we are our own CEOs. So we need to act like one in our own way, and we will get CEO results and a CEO paycheck. Imagine that. Know which games you're going to play if you like games. Have booking gifts ready. Have your wow party set up laid out. Schedule all your Facebook posts in advance if you're doing a Facebook party so that you can spend time building relationships during the party and less on the details. And be sure to get your ask in gear with every single person at the party. You have a captive audience. They want to be there. My goal is not to leave without 3 bookings every single party. With your awesome hostess coaching that you did before the party, this should be much easier because now your hostess is trying to help you get bookings too because you've shared your why and you've shared your passion and you're in it together. Now, number 5, reward yourself for the hard work that you're putting in. Letting yourself hit roadblocks and getting burnt out is going to deter you longer and cost you more time, money, and relationships than rejuvenating yourself along the way here and there. One of the first big rewards I gave myself was a pedicure. Now, remember, I was on food stamps and living week to week when I first started this journey, and this was a big expense, one I never did without feeling guilty. I decided that when I hit $4,000 in sales in a single month, I was treating myself. And wow, did it make all the no's, cancellations, and time seem like such a breeze. I actually looked forward to it, knowing that there was a fun treat in it at the end. I soon actually had to stop rewarding myself in that way because I didn't need a pedicure every single month. My current reward is for every 3 bookings I get on my calendar, I treat myself to a Thai chicken salad at Panera because I love that salad. It's my favorite, but it's like $9, so I really can't get it every single day. But it's an amazing motivator for me to get 3 bookings every few days, whether I party or not. So I get to go out to lunch guilt-free. Now that you have these few tips, I want you to remember not to let your failures and no's define you. That is so important during this booking process, because they can deter us and they are frustrating. And that's why we are here today, to persevere. So go ahead and do that. Persevere and you will get amazing things. Something that always drove me is also written on a sticky note on my computer. An NED, a National Executive Director, if you haven't heard that before, is just someone that never gave up. Don't give up. The stakes are too high and your why is too strong. Now, I think we have time for some questions, right, Mark?
We do. You know what? I have to tell you that I was writing furiously. And so I do have some follow-up questions. So let's take the questions that the field has. Someone's checking in from Norwich, Connecticut. When I was thinking of joining, I didn't think I could join this month, and I already had an online party. But in September, I have an in-home party, and I have people that are going to order and now booking parties because they love the product or want to share it with their friends and families. So that's just a great testimonial. right? Renee Hughes, she's a friend of ours, right? She said, love your story, Rachel. And so here's the thing. So ladies, I do want to encourage you to ask questions from Rachel because she's here now, but I would like to just talk about a few things, Rachel, just to help with some clarification. And so I love the very first one. Again, I'm writing notes furiously. I love that you say that you treat every day on your calendar like it's an empty calendar. So we are going into the busiest selling season, but I believe we're also going into a high cancellation time, right?
Yeah, you could definitely say that.
And so, you know, with weather and that sort of thing, right? It gets bad in some parts of the country. So when you talk about having extra parties, you mentioned having 3 parties and then, oh my gosh, they all cancel. So what is a good amount? You know, if somebody sets a goal, how many over could they do? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And I think that's such a personal answer. But for me, the reason why I decided to have a mindset of keeping my calendar empty is because I actually blocked myself from getting more bookings on my calendar, thinking that, okay, well, I've got all my Fridays on my calendar. That was my goal. I don't want to book anymore. I can't take away from family time. Well, then I would get those cancellations. And then what do? So I go ahead and I book Friday nights, Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons, and Saturday nights, knowing, and I say knowing confidently, knowing that at least 1 or 2 of them are going to cancel.
Sure.
So I'm not going to have 5 or 6 parties in one weekend. Sometimes I do, and when I do, I'm grateful for it. But I think that number is different for everyone, and sometimes we need to just step back and know that we can overbook confidently. Like you said, we are going into a high cancellation time too with weather, school's starting. You never know when someone's going to get sick. So overbook your calendar, and then you're setting yourself up for success.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's such a, and I'm smiling because what a great problem to have if you actually do say, you know what, I do want 2, but I'm going to book 3. And then, oh my goodness, you do have 3 and your commissions are more, your PV is more, right? And so that's sort of one of those really good problems to have, right? So that's good. The follow-ups. So I know that we have a lot of new consultants. Oh, you know what? Actually, we just went to 26 questions from folks. So let's get on here really quickly and answer. We have some good time left, so this is good. A newbie from Canada checking in. Great practical advice. That's wonderful. Sherry from North Carolina wants to know, what are those 4 affirmation statements that you talk about in the beginning?
So the ones from Carrie Wilkerson, I think she was saying?
I think that's what it is, right? Maybe the ones on your Post-it notes?
All right, so number 1 is remember that fun is an option. Game on. Number 2 is flexible, not optional. So our businesses are flexible, but they're not optional. If we want a paycheck like a CEO, we have to put it on our calendar. And number 3 is your business is your friend.
Very good. Okay, I'm looking at more questions here. How do you work with your team? This is a really good question. How do you work with your team to get outside of their circle? So we talked about networking sort of on a personal level. So for somebody who has a team, what could you recommend that they do?
So networking for your teams too is also amazing. Going out and changing your seat at sporting events, wearing a different bag every single day, making sure that you're open for business. Even at the grocery store, when you actually look someone in the eye, and you can share that with your teams to give them that advice. When you look at someone and say hi, they're going to say hi to you. It's a miracle. It just happens. So be open for business. Have your business cards. Have a hostess packet. And be prepared to take that order right then and there, right on your app. And then also vendor events. This is the season for vendor events. That's a great way to get your foot in the door at your local church, at your chamber of commerce. Just open up a newspaper or go on Facebook even nowadays, and you can find vendor events almost every day of the week leading up until Christmas time at this point.
You know what? I love that. And you know, it's, and Rachel, you give such great ideas of, you know, where they could go and examples of that. I think that the challenge is giving them the confidence and those words to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you could role play with your team. I can totally see you playing with your team, because I think people do go lots of places. Most people go to the grocery store, right? They're busy with sports, or, we're going into football season. They're going to see lots of people, right? I haven't been to a football game yet where there just aren't 31 LUTs everywhere. There's still people who don't have them and need them, right? And so I could totally see you role playing with your team to say, you know what? You're going to be here, and they'll go, yeah, but I don't know what to say. Role play with them, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Give them those words to say. I definitely think that's what you could do, Joey, for sure. Okay. I just joined. I'm still struggling with booking. What can I do? Hannah, you know what? You're going to probably have to listen to the recording, only because we're in the question and answer, but definitely go back and listen. I've been in a slump, but I do have an online party coming up. I don't know how to set up my post ahead of time. Can you explain?
So sinshare.com, post my party. You can just Google scheduling websites, and some of them are free, some of them you pay for, and you can just go ahead in advance and log in and attach your photos and your verbiage and pick a time and a date and schedule your post ahead of time. So just Google scheduling apps or Ask Your Leader, or sinshare.com is the one I personally use. I love it. Very reliable.
Perfect. I love this next one. It says, I'm a new consultant since August 9th. Welcome to the 31 family. I'm a first-year teacher in South Dakota and have just moved to a new community for my first teaching job. How do I cultivate new contacts, getting more sales and bookings without being too pushy? I think you got this one.
I love that question. So when I first moved to Lake George, I actually lived 2 hours away, and I moved here thinking, oh my gosh, I see everyone with a large utility tow at a football game, right, Mark? And so honestly, part of it is just getting out of our own way. I joined the YMCA. I put my kids in whatever programs I could do to meet new moms and to build relationships. So the key really, and it seems counterproductive, is truly to build those friendships and relationships first. Some of my best team members actually I met by joining the YMCA and by going to different sporting events, by going and getting my kids cotton candy at the local fair and festival, just saying hi to people in line. And they want to introduce you to people in their town, and they want to welcome you, and they want to show you the school, and they want to have you feel like a member of their community. So go ahead and build those relationships, and it will happen naturally.
Sure. Here's another great question. So how can you get bookings from past customers and hostesses? She said, unfortunately, she's emailed all of hers from her back office and has received no answers. I think that may be the key there.
Yeah, so definitely a personal reach out is very, very important. So I would look back and see what they ordered, and I would even start, the easiest ones are the ones to start with those that have personalized something. So if someone personalized a pillow, call them up and say, hey, oh my gosh, I'm dying to see that pillow personalization. I bet it was so adorable. Was it a gift or was it for you? And then you have an open-ended question, and they're going to gladly send you a picture of their kids with the pillow and say, oh my gosh, I love it so much. Everyone's been asking me about it. They say that. I know it doesn't seem like it, but they really, really do. Customers tell me, my sister's been complimenting me on it. My mom wants one. My husband even likes it. So when you create those generic conversations and call them and text them or Facebook message them or email them personally is fine too. But ask them about what they ordered, or about that birthday party they were going to give the gift at, or about the new baby they were expecting. And then you will get an answer, and you will build that relationship, and you will get a booking or a new team member.
You know what? And I think that's key. And Rachel, I will say publicly that I know that's how you built your business, because you are absolutely personal. You always want to know about people way before the sale. And I love that. And I truly think that's why you're successful. And so I think for, the young lady who reached out and didn't get anything, I think sometimes that blanket email doesn't hit home, right? And so what you're saying is, if you have 30 minutes to make a few calls, pick up the phone and make a few calls, or send some personalized text. I think that is true. That's what you're saying, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. I do send thank you cards to everyone. I know that is kind of a lost art form, but I send written thank you cards to every single person, and I actually have people send me messages and texts saying thank you for sending a thank you. That is so amazing, because I get to open that conversation the other way without having to start it, which is really, really cool. So if you have time and money, because stamps are not cheap, but I would recommend it if you can, to send personal thank yous too.
Can you go back over the networking groups you mentioned? What were some of those great ones?
So one that I would start with is probably meetup.com, all spelled out one word, evensi.com, evensi.com. And then going to your Chamber of Commerce, introducing yourself as a local new business owner. They will point you in the right direction. They'll invite you to their networking events. They do cost money usually, but sometimes not. And then BNI is one that's worth a visit or two. You have to decide if it's worth it for you or not. But those, I think, are the ones that I mentioned.
What is BNI?
Business Networking International. It's a professional networking organization.
Oh, I didn't know what that was.
Yep, so BNI.com if anyone wants to go there and check it out.
So you're saying book what you can handle for the month, where you can handle it and not overwhelming. I'm not sure what that says. How many parties a week do you usually have?
My goal is between 5 and 8 a week, but I usually hold between 3 and 5 a week.
Okay. But that goes to your point, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, to overbook.
Yep.
You're not going to have as many parties unless it's Christmas week. You will actually have all those parties. Right. You're not going to have as many parties as you schedule, usually.
Yes. Here's another one. Liz says, hi, I'm from North Carolina. I just joined on August 8th. Again, welcome. And then she keeps getting no's, and she lives in a small town. So I know that you and I discussed, actually, you live in a small town with not a lot of people around. What's your advice for Liz?
So can you repeat her question one more time?
She just joined August 8th. She keeps getting no's, and she lives in a small town. So what's a good way for her to network other than the groups that cost? Because she's in a position where she doesn't have the funds to do that. So lives in a small town. What are some things she can do? And I know you're from a small town. So.
Yep. So so going out and maybe not necessarily asking if they would like to book a party just yet. Go ahead and go to the soccer games and whatever games, and go to all of the events that are held in your area. Become a member of a volunteer organization, maybe even, because if you are in a small town, there are normally some outstanding volunteer organizations, even the one at your children's school, the PTA or the PTSO. I did join and was a member on the board for quite a while, and that helped my business a lot. So volunteering and building those relationships organically. People don't like to be sold to. They don't like to feel like they're sold to. So go ahead and build those relationships first, and then welcome them to your VIP group on Facebook, and then build that up, and then you can ask them again. Or maybe they'll even ask you.
You know what? It's so funny you just said your VIP groups, because Kaylee said, would you send, here's her question, would you send thank you notes to everyone who orders from your launch party? Mine is going on right now. Definitely.
Yep, absolutely. A thank you note for your launch. For any of your parties should be a non-negotiable thank you note for sure, because they're your friends and family. So they're gonna really appreciate that.
And I love, again, and going to those VIP groups, that could be a place where you say, look for my invitation, or that's a really good place to start. They get a thank you note, and then you reach out and join. Ask them to join. That's so good. Okay, you know what? That's all the questions we have, or time we have. We could ask a lot more. But I want to encourage you all to do exactly what Rachel said, right? And I think the very first one is, and it's my favorite, I love it, is treat every single day like you have nothing on your calendar, because that's going to keep you in that consistent behaviors that Cindy always says leads to predictable success. So, Rachel, end the call. What would you like for people to know as we go into the busiest selling season of the year? What's your one piece of advice?
All right, so if I had to pick just one, I would say to trust yourself. I would say to make your goals and trust that they are going to happen with some consistency and with some love of building these relationships. So trust in yourself and you will reach your goals.
I love it. Rachel, thank you so much for being on the call. It means the world to us at 31 that we get we get to give access to subject matter experts like yourself, and for everybody on the call. You know, Rachel and I realize that you have lots of places that you could be spending your time, but we're glad that you spent 31 minutes with us tonight. And hopefully now you are excited and you're encouraged and you're energized to go and get bookings as we go into this busy selling season. So much success to you all. Rachel, thank you so very much. Everybody else, have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.